Gretzky. Gretzky to the right point. Gretzky in front to Nicholls. He scores! What a goal by Bernie Nicholls!
You're listening to Life After the Game. Here's your host, Darcy Lynch.
My guest today is Bernie Nicholls. Over 1,200 points in 18 seasons in the NHL, and he's one of only 8 players in NHL history to score 70 goals in one season, and one of 5 to score 150 points. Welcome to the show, Bernie.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Well, it's hard to believe it's been close to 15 years since your playing career ended, but I understand that currently you're living very close to your hometown in the Haliburton, Ontario region?
I am. I actually worked for the Kings for the last 2 years. I didn't this year, so I'm back home in Ontario.
You made reference to just recently working for the Kings for a couple seasons, and since that is the same organization that you'd played for such a long time with in the 80s, what was it like whenever you first went to Los Angeles and you're a small-town Ontario guy and all of a sudden you're playing in California in a market that's such a far cry from the type of atmosphere that you grew up in? What was that transition like when you first turned pro?
Well, it was a big culture shock, obviously. I never forget flying in there. You see the palm trees, and you actually fly right over the Forum, which is pretty cool. But the palm trees, the warm weather, coming from, obviously, Canada, cold, snow, big difference, big shock, but it's the best place in the world to play. The warm weather is so much better for you. It's a great place to play hockey for sure.
And Bernie, you'd played for several seasons in Los Angeles before Wayne Gretzky arrived, and you were a face of the franchise. But for you and for some of the other veterans, collectively, was everyone overly enthusiastic about Wayne coming, or was there any resentment whatsoever about the high profile that he would get as an individual? Did that take away from the team atmosphere a while, or did everyone just overall embrace the fact that Wayne was coming?
Everybody was so excited. Anything that Wayne gets, he deserves. So, he put LA on the map. And you know what? We did good in the 80s. Before that, we had our normal maybe 12,000 fans every night. Gretz came, and you're sold out every night. People from back east are watching. LA Kings are all of a sudden a team that you want to watch. And, it was amazing. There was nothing better. Obviously, the highlight of my career, having the opportunity to play with Wayne I got him for a year and a half, and I hung out with him every day. It was unbelievable. Every day, I'll never forget. Gretz would say, let's go up lunch, or on the road. I was with him. He took me to dinner every night. It was just a dream for me for a year and a half to play with Wayne. And anything that in my opinion, Wayne put LA Kings on the map, and today it's because of Wayne.
And Bernie, a lot of your career stats are very impressive, but two that really jump out from an LA Kings team record standpoint are the fact that you hold the record for most points in a game by a King with 8, and also most goals in a season with 70. Those are two that Gretzky weren't able to take away from you. Do you ever rib the great one about you holding ownership to those two?
There's nothing to rib him about, because without him, I wouldn't have done it. So I'm really appreciative of I've done that, obviously, but a lot of it goes to having the opportunity to play with Wayne.
This is Life After the Game. I'm Darcy Lynch. This week's guest is Bernie Nicholls. And Bernie, you talked about being fortunate enough to play with Wayne for a year and a half. And then there was the shocking trade when LA moved you to the Rangers. It was shocking for us fans. But what was that like for you, that you'd been such a face of that franchise and been part of it for close to a decade? What was your initial reaction like when you found out that you were going to the Rangers?
Well, I was devastated, obviously. Like I said, I just played with Wayne. Having the opportunity to play with Wayne was a highlight of my career, and to have it only last a year and a half it hurt. I wanted to stay in LA, play there my whole time, and so when that happened, it was really tough to take. It was something that I wasn't expecting it after doing what I did the year before, but that's part of the game, being traded, and you obviously got to deal with it and move on, but it was definitely hard to take.
Did you notice a big difference in the pressure with the Rangers? When you arrived in New York, it had been a very long drought since they'd won a Stanley Cup, and did you find the pressure was that much different than whenever you were playing in Los Angeles?
Well, the media is definitely a lot more, and to play in New York, though, to go anywhere, to go to New York was was amazing. It was so much fun to play there. You know, play Madison Square Gardens. The fans there are crazy, and I mean that in a good way. They're loyal fans. They support their team really well, and it was a lot of fun. Obviously, shocked to go, but when you get there, understanding it's part of the game, part of the business, and you go out and you still, no matter where you're playing, you're expected as a player to perform well, and the pressure is no different there than any other place you play. You still want to go out and perform well. Difference is in New York, if you didn't play well, the fans would let you know it.
Well, speaking of fans letting you know it, I'm sure that there was a lot of reaction from fans with your next move. You went from the Rangers to the Oilers, and interested to hear, Bernie, what it was like for you to move to playing in a Canadian market and how that compared to LA and New York. But also, what was it like being traded for Mark Messier and having to go to a city where a few years earlier they'd lost their superstar Wayne Gretzky, and then they'd lost their second face of the franchise in Mark Messier?
Well, the first thing is being Canadian. There's nothing better than playing in a Canadian city, no matter where it is. I'm not from Edmonton, but Canadian. They love their hockey. There's not a better organization ever than there. So I was excited to go there. Obviously traded for Mark kind of hurt too, because there's another guy I would have loved to have played with, is Mark Messier. I have so much respect for Mark. Played against him so many years in LA. We had such a fierce rivalry, and I played against him being both centermen way too many times. He was such a competitor, such a leader, such a great player. So there again, I was devastated to go, get traded, but, you know, like I said before, you deal with it, you go. I'm in Edmonton. The great thing that happened there was, who do we play first round in the playoffs is the LA Kings. After they had nicely traded me, they got Gretz. I think Coffey's there. Half the old Oilers are there, and we end up beating them. We beat them in 6 games. So for me, it was pretty cool.
You were eventually traded from the Oilers to New Jersey, and what was it like playing with New Jersey at that time whenever they had 2 new rookies on the team named Marty Brodeur and Scott Niedermayer?
Yeah. Actually, my first year when I got there, the highlight of the whole thing was Herb Brooks was my coach. And I got to know Herb a little bit, and to me, there's not a better motivator in the game today, coaching-wise, than Herb Brooks. So that was amazing. The next year is when I had Marty's first year, Scotty Niedermayer, Jacques Lemaire was the coach. That was as good a team as I've ever played for. They Scott Stevens. It was amazing, and you know they did real well. We ended up going to the semifinals. New York beat us in 7 games, double overtime. Maybe the best series I've ever been in, even though we lost it. So that experience in New Jersey was as good as it gets.
Then you had a couple of years in Chicago, and you finished it off in San Jose. Going back to California, playing for a different team, of course, but San Jose has such a reputation of being a success story in the Sun Belt. And when you were playing with them in the 90s, did you find that was a franchise that was going to have, you know, deep-seated roots, that was going to not be a concern about long-term viability, that it certainly had the fan base and that would be strong long-term?
No question. You know, it's the only show in town, right, in San Jose. Obviously, San Francisco, they got football, they got baseball, they got everything up there. But down in San Jose, they really didn't have anything. So when the Sharks came there, I remember they were sold out every game for, 2-3 years or better. They supported them very well, turned into a great organization, great place to play. People were great, so there was no question that franchise is going to last there for a long time. You
referred to the past couple seasons that you were working as a consultant with the LA Kings, and I also realized that when you would have played in Chicago and San Jose, you would have played under Darryl Sutter. And is that a connection on how you ended up becoming a consultant with the Kings? Obviously, you have a long history with the organization, but did Darryl play a role in you coming back to the fold and joining the team as a coach's consultant?
Yeah, no question. I had Darryl in Chicago for a year, and then I had him in San Jose for a year. And when there was talk, I actually had talked to Dean Lombardi a couple times earlier, a couple years before, about coming out, helping out, power play or whatever. I just seen the team struggle in certain departments, and I thought I could help. You know, former player, you always like the team that you played for and trying to put any input I could. And when they made when Terry Murray got fired there, I knew who they were hiring. I knew where Dean was going. I asked Dean if I could give Darryl a call, and Darryl said no problem. He said, I'd love for me to come out. And I basically went there for 10 days. I think they had about 6 games at home or something. And so I was there, and I was on the ice every day with the guys, working with them. And the 10 days was up. They're going on the road. I said, what do you want me to do? He said, I want you to come on the road. I haven't been on the road with the guys. And went there. I think we won 3 out of 4 or something, tied 1. So I said, what do you want me to do? Well, I want you to stay the rest of the year. So it was great, and that's when we went on and obviously won the cup. And never won it as a player, but being with the guys every day and seeing what they're going through and this and that, and to end up getting there and winning it, it was just a special, special ride. It was just so much fun to be a part of that.
Well, the Kings run 2 years ago certainly was exciting to watch, and I'm sure it was even that much more exciting whenever you were there and were a part of it. And even though you weren't able to win the cup as a player, I'm sure that's the next best thing, being able to hoist it over your head as a coach.
Yeah, that's true. And I got to do that. My daughter was at every game, and every picture I got with the cup, she's in there with me. We're holding it together. So it was really special time.
Taking into consideration the roster of the LA Kings that won the Stanley Cup and your capacity as a coach's consultant, were there particular players that stood out to you that you felt modeled their game very similarly to how you played yours?
Yeah, I think so. Personality, Drew Downey's kind of similar to me, and I still talk to Drew every, once a week or whatever. But I mean, he's always out there. He's having fun. If you watch Drew, he's laughing and having fun talking out there. It's just he's just a kid, and I love that. I think, skill-wise, I think like Mike Richards and I kind of have similar games. Don't mind the physical play, offensively skilled, and played hard defensively too. So, but then you got guys like Kopitar, real skilled guys that I can relate to because that was kind of the way I played offensively. So you can see the guys and you can always talk to them and kind of, not necessarily walk them through things, but just when things aren't going well or you see things that you can help them out. I think as a former offensive player, I think it's much easier for the guys to talk to you rather than a coach or an assistant coach. And even though I played the role as an assistant coach, I think I was more along the lines of being with the guys. I hung with the guys more than the players. So I think the guys related to me more as a player, not a coach.
This is Life After the Game. I'm Darcy Lynch. This week's guest is Bernie Nicholls. So, Bernie, the 2 seasons prior to now, you were busy with the Kings, but off the ice, you've also been busy. And tell me about this new sports app that you're going to be launching.
Well, hopefully here in a couple weeks, a month. It's sports social media. It's a phone app, a free phone app, and on there, we with a lot of charity work. We donate to a lot of charities. We're going to have every sport on there available. And, the cool thing is you go on there, you sign up whatever team you want, whatever your favorite team is, and it'd be like a social media. You get on there and you got 100,000, whatever, fans. If I go to the LA Kings and I sign up there as my team, and there'll be all kinds of Kings fans. So during the games or stuff, you can communicate back and forth to all the whole group. You got games on there. You can bet on games. You can bet, but you're betting points. You're not betting real money. But if you win the game, you get all these points. We got Wayne Gretzky wine. We got Jimmy Fox wine or jerseys or tickets that you can buy with your points. Or what I like is you can donate your points to the charities, and at the end of the year, how many points these charities have, we will donate the money to them, or these credit card things where they can buy things. You can play poker, Texas Hold'em on there. You can play checkers on there. There's so many things you can do on there that makes it a lot of fun to be on it.
Sounds like a neat concept. How did you become involved with it?
Well, the guys kind of been working on it for the last couple of years, and I've been kind of helping them out, introducing them to different teams. I know we kind of did something with the LA Kings when I was there, but now they've just got more people into it, making it into an app where you can go on there and do a lot of things on there. And I think the concept now, they've kind of figured out the best concept as far as your points and how you can play different games on there. You can communicate with more fans and stuff. So just over the last couple of years, they finally got it to where it's going to be a great app.
This is Life After the Game. I'm Darcy Lynch. This week's guest is Bernie Nicholls. Well, we'll certainly watch for the launch of the app, and I know that you'll be referencing it on Twitter at BernieNichols9. And Bernie, speaking of Twitter, you are a regular tweeter, and you embrace social media and enjoy interacting with fans. Do you think you would have enjoyed it as much having that platform back whenever you were playing? A lot of players do use it today, but a lot also are very reluctant that feel that they're already under the microscope enough. And while you were actually playing the game, would you have embraced social media, or did you at that time like to keep your private life more private?
No, I don't mind it. I tweet. I think it's fun. You communicate with fans. I've always felt that I was open to the fans. I had a good relationship with them. They treated me well. So to go on there and communicate with them, there's nothing wrong with that. I think what the problem is people get a little afraid. They may say something that may get blown out of proportion, or people may just take it and run with it. But that's going to happen anyway. So to me, I like it. I like seeing people tweet. They post stuff on Facebook. So to me, I think it's pretty cool.
I also know, Bernie, and I've heard through several sources that you've been busy doing a lot of hunting in your post-playing days. Are you still as avid of a hunter as ever?
Oh, absolutely. I hunt from September pretty much till Christmas. We have our own camp, so we guide, my brother and I, we guide people for bear, moose, and deer, and then we bow hunt the rest of the time. We go on bow hunting trips, moose hunting trips, and we shot 2 moose together, my brother and I, last year. It was amazing having 2 moose come out to us at one time, and so that's just, I was brought up with it. Got away from it, obviously, when I was playing hockey for 18 years, but I'm definitely making up for it now that I'm back.
Yeah, I guess it would have been hard to hunt from September to Christmas time whenever you were an active player.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you participate in the alumni events much, Bernie? I know through the years that you've been involved with the Kings on the alumni level as well, but do you find yourself, do you play many of the charity games with the franchises that you used to play for?
All the time. I do all their fantasy camps. I just did the San Jose Shark one a couple weeks ago. The LA Kings one was the same time Wayne had his big one in Las Vegas. So I obviously opted for Gretz's instead of the Kings at that time. But absolutely, I do that. I love when they do their alumni or charity games and fantasy camps. So I'll participate in any one that I get invited to. You're
back, as you said at the outset, back living in Ontario now. But do you ever dust off and pull out the old fur coats that you were known for in LA in the 80s, or were those retired with your playing career?
I still have my full-length otter coat. It's downstairs at my house. I haven't had it out in a while, but I may have to pull it out one time.
And Bernie, before I let you go, I do want to ask you about the celebrity culture of the Los Angeles Kings, that there certainly was a lot of Hollywood stars out for the playoff run a couple of years ago. But back whenever you were playing, especially when Wayne was there, but even beforehand, it certainly wasn't uncommon to see a lot of celebrities at the games. Was there any particular ones that you were really starstruck by, really awestruck, again, being a small-town Ontario kid and being surrounded by these famous movie stars and high-profile people?
Well, yeah, I've got pictures with plenty. Muhammad Ali, one time I walked out of the building, just him and I. That was really pretty cool. I got pictures of the Boss, Springsteen, Stallone. Michael J. Fox was a huge fan. I used to see Michael a lot. Tom Hanks, and I still see Tom, and one of the coolest thing ever is when I get traded, Tom went, he was on Saturday Night Live. He calls me, asked me to come down, told me to bring my jersey. I'm sitting in the stands with his wife, Rita. At the end of the show, he comes out with my Ranger jersey on. He turns my name on the back, Saturday Night Live. So that was really pretty cool. So obviously Tom's a big one. Rob Lowe. There was a lot of them. Kirk and Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. I'll never forget when I got traded to Chicago. We're in LA. One of the security guys come in after the game and said, "Hey, Kirk and Goldie are here. Want to see you." And the guys in the room are going,
wow.
"What? Are you kidding me?" So that was pretty cool too. So there's been a few come through, and it's amazing to see them. They're great people.
Great stuff and great stories. Thanks for coming on the show, Bernie. And we'll certainly keep an eye out for that new sports social media app that's going to be launching. There'll be more on it at Bernie Nicholls 9. All the best down the road, and we'll catch up soon.
Well, I appreciate that.
You've been listening to Life After the Game. Thanks to this week's guest,